Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Tennessee back out on the practice field this morning. Going to be taking part in a scrimmage number 2 tomorrow night inside of Neyland Stadium. Week and a half away from the orange and white game. It's crazy how fast spring camp comes and goes. But I think as we go through this, as we see what this football team's all about, we're starting to learn the identity of this football team. I think we're all expecting big things from Nico, big things from this offense, hopefully returning to that 2022 year, putting up 40, 50 points a game, lead the country in scoring offense. That excites me. I think that excites most of the people in this fan base. But when you flip over to the defensive side of the ball, you know, a lot of people last year were talking about Tim Banks and his defense and how he's not good enough. I mean, I've even seen people talking about fire Tim Banks, but don't let the numbers, don't let the truth get in the way of your narrative, because if you look at this Tim Banks defense, they have improved year in and year out, not just in scoring defense. They went from 90th in the country, 90th, giving up almost 30 points a game in year one. 2023, they have improved all the way to 23rd in the country, giving up 20 points per game. Is that good enough? If you have a top 25 defense and the number one scoring offense in the country, you're probably going to win a lot of ball games. You look at total yards per game, same story. Year one, 105th in the country. Last season, 27th in the country in total yards allowed per game. Passing defense has kind of been a narrative. Got to improve the passing defense, and I agree. You know, it was awful, horrible in 2021, 2022, terrible. Last year increased a little bit to 45th in the country, but you look at this football team, you look at the secondary, and that was one of the big question marks going into spring camp. A lot of newcomers, the mass exodus, everybody that transferred out, got a lot of athleticism back there, a lot to be excited about. Willie Martinez met with the media earlier this week. I liked what he had to say. We're going to break down some of his comments, but as always, I need you guys to do me a favor. Smash the thumbs up just below this video. It's quick. It's free, it's easy, it helps the channel, and I would appreciate it. Also, if you are new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts here, we're not insiders, we're not media, we don't pretend to be any of that. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe, click that bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Got a fun one coming up tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be joined by 4-star safety Lonza Hayward. He was just in town on Rocky Top this past weekend. We're going to talk about his visit. We're going to talk about his game, what he would bring to the table, what he likes about Tennessee. Be here tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be a fun one, sitting down and chatting with Lonza Hayward. So don't miss that. But let's get into it. I want to take a listen to some of the comments that Willie Martinez had to say when he met with the media earlier this week, because, again, I think if there's a point of this defense, we've talked about the defensive line and how they're going to be a strength. You're talking about the bodies that Rodney Garner's going to have to rotate. He wants to play 10, 12 guys. I think that defensive line is stacked 3 deep across the board. I think you've got all kinds of tools in the toolbox for Rodney Garner. Linebackers, I think Keenan Peely, Arian Carter have the opportunity to be really good. And then you've got some depth there. We know Tim Banks wants to rotate, usually 2 deep at the linebacker position. Elijah Herring played a lot of football last year. Did he develop? Did he learn? Can he grow? Can he take a step in 2024? Then you got some young guys like Jeremiah Thielander, Caleb Perry going into his junior year. I think the linebacker room is going to be pretty good, but what about that secondary? Let's take a listen to some comments from Willie Martinez.
But it's the athleticism, it's the speed. We just got to continue to grow and mature as an inexperienced group with a couple of veterans, like Turrentine and Jordan Thomas. To mention a few, obviously we have Will Brooks and there's a couple other guys, but hanging on them as far as helping them speed up the process.
The thing that excites me hearing him talk about athleticism and speed, right? Because that's something that's been missing recently at the University of Tennessee. Jalen McCullough gave his all for Tennessee. Sometimes your all may not be elite. It may not be able to take you to that next level on defense. And that's not me disrespecting Jalen McCullough. That was an ongoing theme and narrative that we always talked about, was we need more athleticism. We need SEC speed at the safety position. And I don't think we necessarily have had that in previous years. I like that he mentioned Turrentine specifically there. Jacoby Thomas also transferring in from MTSU brings you more athleticism to the back end. Inexperienced group. That's something else he's talking about. Yes, speed, athleticism, but they are inexperienced. You look at the corner position. You've got 2 true sophomores starting at corner, one being Jermod McCoy, transferred in from Oregon State, had 16 tackles, 2 picks, and 7 pass breakups as a true freshman at Oregon State. But he's young, he's raw, he's a guy that played wide receiver in high school, didn't make the jump to corner till he arrived at Oregon State, wanted to make that transition so that, he could get playing time. But again, numbers don't lie, had a solid season at Oregon State. If you missed the film breakdown we did on him, we actually took a look at his college film from Oregon State. Coach Jay did a great job breaking that down. Go back and give it a watch because it's a good one. And I'm excited about Jermod McCoy. Ricky Gibson, another young guy, true sophomore, only played in 5 games, last year. He's young. 4-star prospect coming out of high school, quick, athletic. Again, we talk about SEC speed. Ricky Gibson ran a sub-4 440 coming out of high school. Good length. Martinez went on later in this press conference or media appearance to talk about Gibson, said he's a lot more confident this year. I like hearing that about Ricky Gibson. He said he's still developing, but he pays great attention to detail. So athleticism and speed all across the secondary, that excites me. I think that's what this defense needs. I think the defensive line, solid. Linebacker unit, solid. I think if the secondary can take that step, then maybe we're looking at a top 20, top 15 defense in 2024. Let's hear more from Willie Martinez. Great question here from Brent Hubbs.
Willie, when you look at improved athleticism, but not nearly as much experience, where's the balance in letting guys go play and not putting too much on them versus being really multiple and everything that you have to do in college football? How do you balance that?
Yeah, that's a great question. You want to let them play, right? I mean, you definitely don't want to make complicated. We don't think we're complicated on defense, especially if you're on the edges, whether you're a corner. The safeties have a little bit more on their plate where they got to make all the checks. And I guess I'm speaking about, somebody like Jacoby. He's had to learn the system, but he does have the experience. He's coming from somewhere who is well coached and a good program, and you can see that now. Practice 7 now, where he actually is catching on. The calls mean the same to him. He's just kind of transferring that over from the terminology. But you want you want the talent level. You want you do want the athleticism. You want guys that are playmakers. You just got to make sure that you don't overload them, like you're saying. And I think we're doing that for the most part. And again, it's still going to be about how fast you play. You want them to play fast. Obviously, you don't want them to sit there and think like they're processing through the whole process. But I think they've done a really good job. It's not like, we have a lot of time with them. We've had it since December, and not with the guys you guys mentioned, but we did get them in January. And they've done, for the most part, they've really handled the package pretty good. We actually threw some more at them today, and there wasn't that many busts at all. And to come off the break that we had, I think that was pretty impressive.
You like hearing as he talks there, and he talks about, putting more on the safeties, right? He's putting more on the safeties. They're the ones that get the play call, get everybody where they need to be. And when you look at the safeties, that's where your experience is. Andre Turrentine, again, he's a redshirt junior. He's an upperclassman. He's been there, done that, and he's also been in the system. Right? Transferred into Tennessee from Ohio State, been in the system, knows the calls, knows, he's going to be that leader in the secondary. Jacoby Thomas, also a redshirt junior. So like Coach Martinez is talking about there, yes, he's new into the system, but he's been around the block. He's played a lot of football. He's making that transition well. So if you're listening to what Martinez says, more athleticism, more speed across the secondary, and the guys that need to be able to take on more mentally are upperclassmen. So I think this secondary has an opportunity to take a step. He also mentioned Jalen McMurray later in the video, transfer from Temple. That's the thing. If you go back and you look at when Jacoby Thomas transferred in, when Jalen McMurray transferred in, didn't really know what we were getting there, right? Are you ready to take that step from Temple to the University of Tennessee, from MTSU to the University of Tennessee, and play in the SEC? Jalen McMurray getting a lot of praise. He's also an upperclassman, a redshirt junior. So we've seen them rotate corners. They add that depth. He talked about competition, and that's something, again, that's been lacking on this football team for quite a while. Now we've got that competition. Got that competition for that outside wide receiver spot. Who's going to play outside of Brew McCoy? Now it's like, man, we got some ballers. Maybe they're going to rotate 6 wide receivers. But one thing that excites me, one of the biggest question marks on this football team going into spring camp was the secondary, and now it sounds like it could be a strength for this defense. So you got the D-line, you got the linebackers, you got the secondary. That's what's got me giddy. That's what makes me think this team can make a legitimate run for the college football playoff. What do you think? Jump into the comment section. Let's talk about it. Does the secondary take a step? What do you think about Tim Banks? How do you feel about Tim Banks? Numbers don't lie. Scoring defense, total yards per game, passing defense gets better year in and year out. Do they take another step in 2024? How good does this scoring defense need to be to make a run in the college football playoff? Let's talk about it in the comment section. As always, smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. I would appreciate it. Hope to see you guys tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Myself, Coach Jay, going to sit down, hang out, and talk with Lonza Hayward. Then we're going to talk a little spring camp, what we're looking for in scrimmage number 2. All kinds of fun tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.